Shut the door. Okay. Nice. We are streaming now, I think. And we're going to be talking about crazy liberal reactions to people dying, including the father of Mollie Tibbetts. Ridiculous. Go ahead. You can play the intro whenever you're confident that it's going.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a nice Sunday. We are talking about where Jesus said, "Let the dead bury the dead." Isn't that a great point? We're talking about Mollie Tibbetts, John McCain, and Aretha Franklin, and the liberal reaction to it, including Mollie Tibbetts' father.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, once again, good morning, everybody. And you can call in at 888-775-3773. 888-775-3773. And I want to talk about something that Jesus said in the Bible, and then Jesse mentioned it on Friday during the show when a woman called into his show and talked about what's wrong with black people. And I was like rolling my eyes a little bit. But then she went into why she was saying this, and she was talking about Aretha Franklin's funeral, which was just over the top ridiculous. And I'll touch on that a little bit later. But I wanted to talk about, there's a lot of talk in the media about John McCain's funeral and Aretha Franklin's funeral, which Aretha Franklin died like weeks ago. And John McCain has died a good week and a day ago, the Saturday before yesterday. And Mollie Tibbetts is a young lady who was a college girl, liberal, brainwashed, hated so-called racism, but probably hated Trump. But anyways, she was at the University of Iowa or something like that, and she went off jogging, and this illegal alien Mexican who may or may not have known her started following her in his car, and then he got out, and then like she didn't like that, and then he says that he blacked out and killed her and stuffed her in his trunk and then hid her in a cornfield, where Iowa has a lot of that type of stuff. And so the reaction among conservatives is predictably and rightfully, we got to close the border, kick out the illegal aliens, and all of those things. And the Democrat reaction, the liberal reaction, was basically silence. She had been lost, she had been missing for quite some time, if I recall. And they came across this guy finally, and it was pretty nasty. Like basically, I forget if he stabbed her to death or what, but maybe it was like sharp force trauma that had killed her. But anyways, her father came out against Donald Trump Jr., of all people to come out against. And it's not surprising, honestly, because this woman, she was very, like I said, liberal. She was going to the University of Iowa. She had tweeted, and I don't have the tweet handy for you, but you've probably seen it on the Jesse Lee Peterson show or elsewhere, that she's tweeted, "I hate white people," when most whites did not vote for the Democrat Doug Jones in the race of the Alabama race, when the good man, Judge Roy Moore, was basically smeared. They called him a pedophile and all kinds of nasty stuff. They just went all in disgusting against Judge Roy Moore out of Alabama, who's a really good judge. He stood up for the Ten Commandments. He stood up against same-sex marriage, for natural marriage, and he was basically smeared by the Washington Post and all kinds of other liberals. And this lady fell for all that nonsense, and so she fell for the "I hate white people" stuff, because it's okay to say "I hate white people," especially for whites to say it, but it's also okay for blacks to say it. Anybody can say it. Even Sarah Jeong, the woman who got hired by the New York Times. But we all know that. That's irrelevant, basically. It's a moot point. It's not a moot point, it's just that it's well known. So this lady, she has a father who, unsurprisingly, I hate to say it, I don't want to say something nasty about him, but he's basically a liberal, and she's not, I don't think that he's too much different from what she is, meaning a liberal, anti-white. He, and just ridiculous, just brainwashed, just a normal brainwashed guy. He, I have a picture of him and her together, Mollie Tibbetts with her father. I think he remarried, so she has like a stepsister who's Mexican or Latino or something like that. And so he said, so I'm Mexican, I'm black, I'm all these things. Basically, he's telling conservatives not to politicize it when he's politicizing it. And this is so common for liberal fathers of victims to do. You'll remember back in when Elliot Rodger, I think it was, when he shot up a bunch of people. Elliot Rodger was an incel, involuntary celibate, but he was like a guy that was very maladjusted. He was making videos talking about what a supreme gentleman he was, and yet girls didn't like him. And so like he went crazy on a mass shooting and killed a few people, targeting girls, but I think he killed a boy too, or a young man. And the father of this young man, if I remember correctly, the father went nuts in this anti-gun thing. And a lot of these so-called survivors of mass shootings, you know, the March for Our Lives people like David Hogg and Cameron Kasky and that short-haired lesbian girl or bisexual girl, these people are all just ripe for exploitation by the left because they're brainwashed in evil, in liberalism. So anyway, this father wrote an op-ed against Don Jr. And Don Jr. is like the nicest, most decent guy and funny and savage, if you will. Like he has fun on social media, maybe more fun on social media than his father, who's excellent. Donald Trump is excellent on Twitter. But anyways, we cannot be falling for this. I mean, I don't think anybody is, honestly, falling for this, oh, the family of the victim doesn't want us to talk about it, or they don't want us to say this about it, because there's a lot being said about Mollie Tibbetts. One woman, Simone Sanders, I think it was Simone, but anyways, I have a tweet from Don Jr. Did you show it already? There was a woman who said it wasn't illegal. It wasn't the fact that he was an illegal alien. It was toxic masculinity that killed Mollie Tibbetts, because she asked the illegal alien man to stop following her, but he didn't. He wouldn't. This is about toxic masculinity. Mollie Tibbetts lost her life because a man couldn't take her saying no, full stop. And Don Jr. says, this is what happens when moronic, politically correct culture is allowed to rule over common sense and rational thinking. Truly one of the dumbest takes on a terrible tragedy I've ever seen. Hashtag Mollie Tibbetts. And you know, all this rape culture stuff, there are a lot of rapes coming out of these societies, like like Mexico, because Mexico is a very corrupt place. Granted, there's very decent people like that guy. You guys already know it's very corrupt. So they want to act like, oh, this guy, these people. Whenever liberals want to deny the truth, they say, Oh, so you mean all Mexicans are rapists? Remember when Trump said they're rapists and among other things? Same thing happened here. This Mollie Tibbetts' father said, all in his op-ed, that everybody knows that all Mexicans aren't rapists and murderers any more than all whites are not white supremacists. And so basically he's suggesting that whites have a white supremacy problem and Mexicans have a rape and murder problem, or at least that's the stereotype. And he's basically acknowledging that these are stereotypes and he's denying that it's true. But what he does believe in is white supremacy because he's defending his daughter's stupid idea of racism, of if you want to deport illegals, you're racist. So dumb. So anyways, I wanted to point that out because it's really, it gets on my nerves when people act like these victims or family of victims or so-called survivors have a more valuable opinion than anybody else. If anything, they have a less valuable opinion because they're emotional about it. Understandably so, but he's just a liberal. So don't listen to Mollie Tibbetts' father in terms of this. But the liberals are loving this. The liberal media loves this. They are loving the death of John McCain because a lot of the Rhino Republicans and did we turn on the AC?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of the Rhino Republicans like George W. Bush and all them, and even John McCain's daughter, I believe that she's a Rhino. Understandably so, her father was. But she spoke at her dad's funeral, and she took pot shots at Donald Trump. So silly. I mean, you shouldn't even be doing that if you really care about your father. You want to, not distract from your father. You're distracting from your father by taking pot shots at Trump. Ridiculous. So anyways, she did that, apparently, according to what the news reports say, that she was saying America was always great. And you know who else said that? Barack Obama. So silly. And yet, why did he want to fundamentally transform America? Obviously, it wasn't always great, in his opinion. So Barack Obama is a two-faced liar, lying sleaze, as some might say. And, oh man, I just read Lori Tolbert's comment. No, I don't think she is. So anyways, yeah, John McCain was a Rhino, and like I said last week, may he rest in peace. But you look at the funeral, it is just, that is a picture of let the dead bury the dead. Basically, all the dead people, no good people were allowed. Reportedly, Sarah Palin was not invited. Donald Trump was not invited. Sarah Palin, it's rumored that she was asked not to even show up. So, specifically not to show up. Crazy, huh? And then Trump, of course, was not invited. No, talk about no class. You know, Trump knows how to act. He knows how to act at a funeral. He knows how to act in any given situation. He knows how to act. What they hate about it is that he knows how to act when he's attacked. He attacks back. And when I covered this story when John McCain called his supporters crazies, Trump went after him and said, you know what, I supported him, but he lost to Obama, he's a loser. And then the guy says, he's a war hero. He's not a war hero. He was a war hero because he was captured. And anyways, he was basically just responding to what people were saying and speaking truth to the nonsense. So no good people were allowed at the John McCain funeral. George W. Bush has really grossed me out lately. And I don't know if you've seen these pictures, and I don't have any pictures in the folder, Joel, but you can find probably pictures of George W. Bush snuggling up to Michelle Obama, Big Mama Michelle. And it is like he does these weird, gross, acting like she was his nanny displays with her. He turns like into a little boy. It's so. I wonder what's his wife's name, Laura? I wonder what she's thinking. Look at that. That was not at the funeral. This was a few years ago, I guess. But it's so bad. So I just wanted to point this out because this is so. These people are supposed to be. It's supposed to be good versus evil, Republican versus Democrat. Well, it's evil versus evil. Nice evil versus nasty evil. And nice is not good. So anyways, I voted for George W. Bush twice, and I repent. I remember the year 2000. That was my first election, my first voting. I was like 19, 18, 20 maybe. Anyways, definitely not 20. But anyways, yeah, so gross. What else? Oh yeah, so he slipped her some candy, according to like the liberal media. Somebody pointed that out. Just gross, man. I don't know what's wrong with. I almost want to say what Mollie Tibbetts says about white people when she sees them doing what she doesn't want them to do. I almost want to say I hate white people, which I think is why Jesse does what he does, because he wants us to get over hate, and that's a good thing. And these stupid people believe in racism, so they believe that they can hate the racist, and they're just falling into the same trap as what they think that the so-called racists fell into. And I'm going to get to Aretha Franklin's funeral, but I want to get the idea of what Robert out of Rhode Island thinks about it. Robert, first time caller out of Rhode Island. How are you?
Hi, I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. That's how I felt about it, too. That was very ridiculous. So Aretha Franklin, did you get pictures of her funeral at all?
Yeah.
So Aretha Franklin died. She was a singer. She sang in churches. I remember when I was taking Afro-American music history at Pasadena City College. I remember hearing a recording of her as a teenage girl or 12-year-old girl singing in church, and the church people are encouraging her and making her sing louder and with more boisterous of a voice. And so this woman, she passed away at 70 something, I believe 72, 73 or so. But she died, and now the funeral was, I believe, Friday or so. I think it was in Detroit, but it feels like the way it was broadcast, it felt almost like it happened in London or England, like she was a queen. And they said that it was a funeral fit for a queen. I don't even think it's fit for a queen. I think it's over the top for a queen. This caller called in. I haven't even really read about it because I just don't care. Are those people at the funeral? Jesse Jackson. I'm looking at my YouTube video, so I'm on a delay. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Bill Clinton, and somebody else.
Yeah.
That is. I mean, if your funeral says anything about you, then I feel bad because I kind of liked Aretha Franklin. She had good songs, but if that is her character, those people that are at her funeral, worshiping her and stuff like that, and pretending that she's so good, who's that singing?
No idea.
So there's a white woman standing up with, is that Al Sharpton?
Yep.
Al Sharpton looks weird skinny. He looked, I don't know. He always looked weird to me. But, yeah, this is so nasty. She had, according to the caller who called in to Jesse's show, and I believe her, and I'm gonna cut that and put it out. We are gonna put it out. This woman, her carcass, had multiple wardrobe changes. Isn't that disgusting? Ugh. And then on top of that, they had like a bunch of, not 100, but a bunch of pink Cadillacs lined up. And I guess that, I don't know what that reference is. So I wasn't maybe the biggest fan of Aretha Franklin. I just liked her. But they were just over the top. And this is at a church. One Lord, one faith, one blah, blah, blah. I'm looking at the delay. One baptism. So, oh yeah, because she was a church singer. So it's wild. Don't fall for this stuff. It's gross. Bruno out of Rhode Island. How are you, sir?
Hey, how you doing? What's going on?
Hey.
I'm very happy about John McCain's departure. You know what I mean? I've studied McCain for years, and John McCain, a.k.a. Songbird, he did not get tortured in captivity when he was a president. Number one, that's a lie. McCain was not tortured. He broke his arms when he ejected from the plane, number one. Number two,
you know, I wondered about that. I don't know, but I did wonder about that because I know that he ejected out of the plane, and I was reading about his life after he died last week. He fell into a lake, and he was injured, and they said that they gave him only nominal treatment. And so, and they said that he couldn't raise his arms above his shoulders. And
yes, but
yeah,
yeah,
so
but that was not from when he ejected out of the plane. The top of his hand, he smashed the windows, and plus when he was pulled out of the lake, they did bayonet him in the groin. He was bayoneted by the local Vietnamese. But when he was in there, McCain was not tortured. He was never tortured or harmed at all. That's a big lie. He was treated very well, and they actually made him go with prostitutes, and that's how he was compromised. He's sexually compromised by the Jews, because the Jews control neocons and people like him, and they had him go with prostitutes and all that, and they took pictures, and that's how he was controlled over the years.
Oh, okay. So they had blackmail on him or something? And who's they?
Yes.
Are you talking about the Vietnamese or the people
Jews.
here?
I'm talking about the Jews.
Oh, the ones in America.
Yeah, well, the ones all over, the big conglomerate, Jewish conglomerate, who's running the system and destroying the churches, destroying everything, and producing people like John McCain and backing them. Lindsey Graham, McCain, all them neocons, Israel first.
Well, I mean, he's not even Israel first. He's just evil.
Well, he is evil, but trust me, he's Israel first.
All right.
You hear them.
Well, so how did you study him, and how did you find out all this information?
Just, you know what I mean, over the years, reading books, checking things out, looking at different documentaries. You know what I mean? Because I'm a little old. I'm 39 years old. So I actually voted for McCain back in the Obama days.
Yeah, me too.
Obviously, I didn't like neither of them, but I did not like Obama, especially. You know what I mean? So I voted for McCain back then, even though I did not like him.
John Smith in the live chat says that he was tortured.
No, he was not tortured. That's a lie. He was not tortured. He was
Who knows?
He was not tortured. He was actually having fun times.
But how did you find this out?
Watching, all right, tell him to check out the Veterans Against John McCain. There's a bunch of veterans against John McCain, and they found all this stuff out, released stuff from Russia, secret intelligence from Russia, all kinds of stuff like that. McCain is he was totally compromised.
I mean, in all honesty,
it's Veterans Against John McCain.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff, this is the type of stuff that I don't care that much about because it's like impossible to know the truth, I feel.
I hear you on that, but it's always good to put it out there and let people check it out and make up their own minds and see how the Jews are really pulling the strings. And how he works for them. Well,
so are you alt-right?
Am I alt-right? No, I'm a pro-white man. I've been pro-white since I was 14 years old. I'm 39 right now. I never called myself alt-right or nothing like that.
Yeah.
I'm just a pro-white guy. Been around for years. I like Jesse Lee Peterson. You know what I mean? Now, my buddy Misery told me about this show.
Misery?
So, yeah, so I'm in the chat, too. I'm in your YouTube chat.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Bruno.
I wanted to call up.
All right. Take care.
All right. God bless you all. Bye-bye.
You as well. Bye. I don't know. That's Yeah, a lot of people like to blame the Jews, and I'm not for that. I think that you got to blame yourself. John McCain, I'm sure that he was. I mean, he was not the most moral man, obviously, but you can't be blaming other people for how weak another person is. I was arguing with somebody on the comment section last week after I talked about about living wrong. John McCain was living wrong. He was weak. He was beta male, and he kissed up to Obama, and that's why he lost. This guy was saying he's saying you're wrong. He was controlled. He threw the election on purpose. And I'm like, even if that's true, that doesn't make him any less weak or less beta male. Because evil people in charge, and when the people are evil, evil rises to the top. So when the people are good, good rises to the top. And I don't know how Trump rose to the top, because I don't see that much goodness in America, but there is some goodness. And it's really kind of come out of the woodwork once Trump got elected. But there's also like a lot of evil that's being exposed because Trump kind of, he's so blatant and bold with how he talks that other people start doing it too, and other people start coming out of the woodwork. And like, I didn't even know the alt-right existed. I knew that there were white nationalists, and many of those people have turned out to be alt-right or white advocates, as Jared Taylor says. But it's pretty wild, and yeah, it's crazy. Anyways, let me go to Ebony out of Texas. Ebony, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good.
Hey. So what's up?
Hey, I wanted to talk about Aretha Franklin's her funeral and how they was using like her funeral and stuff for like to bash Trump. You know, they didn't like you. I never seen no funeral like that before. You supposed they just say something good about the person, memories and stuff, but they was just wanted to bash Trump and everything. And then like when Ariana Grande got up there, it was like so sexualized, and the man that was in that was sitting behind her, and especially like was Clinton, and it was like so obvious that he was.
Was he ogling her?
Kinda,
no, never mind. I don't. Forget I asked that. Never mind. I don't want to.
It was obvious. It was like he was just looking at her and smiling, and it was just so perverted.
That's a funny picture.
It was ridiculous. And then like the bishop or whatever.
That's shameful, man.
Had to apologize.
Yeah, I heard that. There was a black bishop. Oh, go tell the story, Ebony. Sorry for interrupting.
Like I don't know his name, but he was a bishop, and he was like apologizing for like grabbing her breast or something, or something like that. And I don't know, but they said that he said some kind of racial slur or something like that. But in the video, it looked like he was trying to like he was like very close to her side breast or something, and it seems like she was trying to pull away, but he kept on pushing her back in. And I guess it looks like she knew it, but she didn't want to like say, "Can you stop touching on my breast?" At the funeral or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just so sick. And they using this, and Aretha Franklin I think she's a good woman. I'm not sure, but they just use her funeral. Oh my God, it's just so sick.
Yeah, and these people are like, it's supposed to be Christian. It just shows how corrupt the church is, especially the liberal church and the black church and the And I was sitting here and I was talking to my boyfriend, and I was like, what is wrong with black people? You think it was?
I was like, what? I was like, what is wrong with black folks? if they can't see that Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, and Clinton, you know, when Clinton was in office, black folks was like, yeah, he's like the first black president. Like, you know, they was like really excited about Clinton because they thought Clinton was black. And the only reason why they thought Clinton was black is because of what happened with him and that woman in the White House. And
Is that when did they start saying that he was the first black president?
They started saying it when he was in office, especially when it came out about the woman.
No, it had to be before that. They can't have just started it just because of Monica Lewinsky. That's terrible. That's like too obvious.
Yeah, but that's true though. That's true.
I know.
And
it's funny
like,
that. Yeah, I don't think it was.
Yeah.
Joel was saying
like,
that bishop.
Y'all know he black, you know. It's just my little black circle. I don't know about Eric's black circle.
No, yeah, I know. That's. You're right. I mean, it's so corrupt. The Democrats are so corrupt, and it's so funny that the media loves Bill Clinton so much that they make people who aren't paying attention feel positively towards him when he was not a good person. And granted, there are people that are so much worse now than even he was, I think. But
Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyways, Ebony, I appreciate that. You bring up a good point that blacks have a problem with identifying, especially in this church. In the church, they're identifying with like the worst of the worst. Ariana Grande, I don't know if she's black at all, if she has any black in her. Maybe she does.
I don't know about that.
But they have her in there singing, and the people that they embrace are like the worst of the worst. I mean, look at Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber is not really, he's kind of a mess morally. And he embraces the blacks. I mean, granted, he was wasn't he kind of raised up as a singer by Usher or something? Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of understandable that he's kind of embraced by the blacks, but you look at him morally, and he's just openly, Ariana Grande is Italian, according to my intern Mike. Thank you.
And it's sad because when when they're young like that and they're exposed to Hollywood, they get so they can be so controlled. Yeah. Especially they get them at a young age like that. Justin Bieber, Ariana, and all the young people, and like what's her name? The one that had the overdose and
Amy.
Yeah.
No, not Amy Winehouse. Well, I mean Amy Winehouse too, but man, the one who died in the bathtub. Her name.
She was like on a Disney Channel, and she was like on Camp Rock or something, and she had like an overdose or whatever. It's just it's sad because they be
there's so many
Hollywood. Yeah.
You know,
I know, and James, like me personally, myself,
maybe Lindsay Lohan.
I've never seen this before. I just started because Trump being in office, and I've been listening to people that talk about Trump, like Tucker, Jesse, and Alex Jones and Mark Dice and stuff, and you, and stuff like this started waking me up because it happens out here in like the regular world with regular people.
Demi Lovato?
Like, like just evil, bad stuff happen. Yeah. And the same thing is happening with the people that run like this world. It's like, they're evil, but I don't know if it's the devil or something that's telling you that, who cares if they're evil? As long as they bring down America and bring down the white man, I don't care.
And as long as they have nice music.
Oh man, and like I feel just so bad. I just feel so horrible. I don't know. It's just like because I'm a worrier, and that's like in my nature or whatever. I don't know if I said this to you before, but I am a worrier. And then when I see stuff like this, especially I have kids, and they in these schools, and in Austin, Texas, they had like this national walkout for the gun control stuff, and it was telling the kids it's for the the kids that died, when it's really for pushing to repeal the Second Amendment. And I told my daughter, not to walk out of class, but she did anyways because the kids are the biggest influence, or
Oh man,
of
course.
And
So what did you do?
Well, I talked to her dad, but you remember when I first started talking to Jesse, and he was like, "Oh, you global." Well, you remember that when I first
Vaguely,
started talking to Jesse? So my first baby daddy, he's from Bosnia, and he's like an immigrant, but he got a citizenship now. He don't like me because I like Trump. But
wow.
But I talked to her dad. So I talked to her dad about it, and he was like, "You, whatever you believe, is you. You can't. She believes what she believes."
But how old is your daughter?
She's 14.
Okay, I mean,
she's 14, and she stays with her dad.
Yeah, that's a shame. But I mean, since you guys aren't married and the dad is for it, I guess the girl's just throwing herself into hell. She's trying to assert her independence.
Yeah.
So she stays with her dad, so you don't have any say over what school she's going to, or if she even goes to public school.
I do have say over it because we.
But you don't have total say.
Got court papers. I'll have total say because she stay in that district, and that's what district she has to go to.
Man.
So I know I have a lot of problems. That's why I always talk to you.
No, but I mean, that's at that point, I don't think it's not even your problem anymore because you told her not to do it. You basically did your part at that point. She disobeyed, which I guess is fine with her dad, and she's going to public school, and it sounds like I don't know if you're pushing for her to go to private school or be homeschooled or what, but it doesn't sound like that's possible because she lives with her father.
But, yeah.
Well, I mean, homeschool you could do, I guess, but it doesn't sound like that's even possible because why can't you do homeschool?
I don't know. I mean, we work. We just regular people, and I really don't know about all that homeschool stuff. If I get a teacher or I be the teacher, I don't know. I'm slow.
Maybe we should put out information. We should find out if there's information about it, because like if you care about your daughter, you should at least look into it to see if there's anything you can do. I mean, basically, you kind of messed up by having her out of wedlock, I guess.
Yeah. Exactly.
And now she's just gonna go on her liberal way, just like most kids.
But basically all of us that's like me or just regular people that really are blind. We all liberals, but we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Our parents are liberal. Everybody in our whole family is liberal, especially regular people like me.
And it's more than that. It's evil. Like we're all evil until we turn good. Because
until we know what's wrong, until we wake up and realize.
And now she's becoming evil too, your daughter. But
yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame.
And then
I'm sorry to hear that, but
last night.
It's not your problem, except that you should look into private. I mean, not private. There's got to be inexpensive. You're in Texas. I don't know if she's nearby there, but there's got to be. There's a lot of people that are willing to help, I'm sure, in terms of giving a better education.
Yeah, but I would have to fight with her dad and stuff like that. I guess I should fight.
That's fine. I mean, you're fighting for your daughter anyway. That's what I think.
Yeah, but I know, but I was thinking if I'm in her life all the time,
Yeah,
and
but
I pay child support, and so I tell her what's right and what's wrong.
All right.
Instead of trying to enforce her away, because she was born out of wedlock, and her parents not together no more. So I just voice my opinion to her or whatever and tell her what's right and what's wrong and what's going on in the world, and just try to guide her in the right way. And at this point right now, that's all I can do because she's 14 and she's already my dad, and
Yeah.
I just don't want her
Have you
to
become
end up hating me.
Have you become a good example yourself?
No.
Then, yeah.
Yes, never
That's the first
was
thing.
a good example.
No, I mean like you can become a good example by like starting to do right and like following the stuff that Jesse says and all that.
Yeah, but where I'm hard headed, so.
All right.
Yeah, I know.
Because
I do
otherwise
try
you're
to
not
follow
gonna.
what Jesse said.
Otherwise, no matter what opinions you voice to her, I don't think that's
She's not
gonna
gonna
matter.
listen.
Yeah.
But maybe it will stick to her, something in her, like somewhere there. But
Maybe.
I'm not leading by example.
Yeah.
I want to. I do need to change, but I don't know. It's no excuse really. It's just I have to be like really like forced or shown by God or something. I don't know, James.
There's
but,
obvious stuff that you're not doing that you can do.
yeah, like what?
I don't know, like praying and stuff like that. But you know more than I do. You know better than I do.
Yeah, exactly. I
It's basic
do.
stuff.
But it's just basic stuff like praying and stuff. But like I'm a worrier, so
But you shouldn't even say that because you're not even supposed to be a worrier. Like Jesus said, don't worry. So like, I wouldn't think that you should take on that identity or that vice, because we all have vices, right? And they're called vices. I mean, worry I've never heard of as a vice, but it is. Like a vice is something that has a hold of you, right? And so this worry has a hold of you. But I don't think that you should be saying I'm a worrier. Like that's basically accepting that that's what you are, as if you can't change. You know what I mean?
I try to change so bad, but
there is no try.
Well, my doctor told me that that's just in my nature.
No, don't listen to that. That's terrible.
Yeah, because I do have high blood pressure and I have really bad anxiety.
Yeah, but those are like physical symptoms of like a spiritual problem, and then it continues to feed itself. Exactly. You may get the symptom, and then you think that you have that problem spiritually, and then you'll fall into that type of thinking just by like there are people who I heard very important lesson from what's his name? I was listening to some podcast host, very famous, and he said that people think that pot makes them paranoid, but it doesn't. It just makes them more like hyper aware of what's going on, and so that makes them feel the symptoms of paranoia, and so they just fall into paranoid thinking. So like I can understand like they're already paranoid, and then you start to have because you have the high blood pressure and stuff because you've trained your body with all this worry. Paranoid thinking. Anyways,
yeah, I think
you're just feeding.
You're
You're just kind of feeding that vicious circle by repeating that stuff and listening to stupid doctors. Listen to Jesse, man. I mean, woman.
I know. I listen to Jesse every day.
Because like think about how he's like the healthiest I've ever seen, and he's like going on. How old is he? I'm pretending not 69. To know. He's 69, right? And so like when I showed up 11 years ago, he was like not as healthy as he is today. So like he's doing something right, and I wonder how tall your doctor is and how fat he is, and all that stuff. How healthy he is. Don't listen to him. That's in your nature. He doesn't know anything about nature.
It's a woman. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's you. Yeah, that explains it. Just kidding.
Yeah, and James, I think that sometimes I think, and it's probably is the devil, that I think that I'm sunken into darkness really, really bad, and I'm trying to fight with all my might to climb out of it, but it's like I have something that's there just keep on pushing me down. It's like you ain't going nowhere, and
Joel,
just keep on thinking, But
Joel
Ebony
wants to say something to you.
Okay.
Ebony, just a suggestion, and I do this too. I probably should have started with that, but The thing is that as soon as we say things like that, as soon as we say we're in this deep dark hole, we're claiming it, and then it's basically telling ourselves that we're in this deep dark hole. I don't think that we should have an opinion about it at all, or at least try our best not to have an opinion about it, because when you say that, you make it real, and then you start to believe it. Now you think you're in this deep dark hole and that it's so hard to get out, but you don't really know if you're in a deep dark hole. You're just making that assumption about yourself, and you don't even really know if that's the case. But because you're telling yourself, now you're believing it. Now it's so hard to get out, and it's like you're pounding yourself down more and more type thing. So I think saying that isn't the best thing, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
and I
But my background, Joel, is like I have 3 kids, 3 different baby daddies. I've never been married, and all the mistakes that I made, I know that they was wrong, and it's right there, and it's never going away. And then it feels like it's not even nobody else. It's like me, just keep reminding myself over and over again about, I should have done it in the right way. Maybe I should be living right. I know.
But the same principle applies. Like what you just said has nothing to do with what Joel said. Because he said that the stuff that you say and all that stuff, that it doesn't matter what mistakes you made in the past or sins and stuff like that. There's going to be even like the negative consequences that come out of your sins are even those can be redeemed, as to use the Christian talk.
Right. It just sounds like, because the guilt it sounds like just your guilt type thing, to where that's what's bothering you, is you feel guilty about all these things,
and so you're just feeding the dread.
Right. And we should just.
And you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I even do it to my boyfriend too, and I'm like, telling him that I do have 3 kids and stuff like that, and you should be with a woman that don't have any kids. And he's like, oh man, he's like roll his eyes at me. But hopefully, I need to just let it go and let God, because I do feel guilty. So y'all right, I should let go and just because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And
can I ask, how come you have a boyfriend and you have 3 kids by 3 other men?
I don't know. I really don't. Because why do I have a boyfriend? I don't know. I'm just
because I don't know. At that point, I don't believe in continuing to try with that stuff. Honestly, because I mean, you should be. Yeah, I may be wrong about this, but I don't think I am wrong. I think that at that point, you have these kids. You should be just work on your own life, and then try to be an example for your kids, and don't continue to try to go after guys, even if this is a decent man. I mean, like you just said, you can't even respect him because he is with you and you already have kids. It's you basically I used to believe that the first person that you had sex with, you were married to. Oh, there's people out there that think this way. And I don't know if that's true, but whatever. But you have kids and you should be, and they're, under 18, you should be in my opinion, you should be focused on being an example. I would just, I don't know. What do you think, Joel?
I don't. I mean, I agree. I totally agree about you being the best example. I think that everybody should really just be the best example for their kids, the one who have kids. Reason being is because, like you said you're a little bit hard-headed, whatever the case is, but all those words that you keep saying is just not helping. You know what I mean? I'm hard-headed, I'm a worrier, and all these things are not helping you be a better example. You should just try to do your best to just focus on being a better example, and then go from there. But Jesse talks about all this stuff that is helpful, and he breaks it down in a better way than what I'm doing. But if you really listen to him, he's saying the right thing, and it's been helpful for me. So if you really just listen and take his advice in and actually do it, you'll be on your way. You don't have to worry about being a worrier or the guilt and all that stuff. And he says all that stuff. You gotta let go of that guilt and start new.
And that's why I listen to Jesse every single day. Like last night, I was listening to.
I'm gonna tell you that you can listen to him forever, and it's not gonna change. You have to like do right, and people are saying. Patrick said, "Easy call, no boyfriend." It's kind of like welfare for your. It's kind of like welfare for your soul or something. Like, you got to like, when somebody stops getting welfare, it's the best thing for them. When you stop having that boyfriend, I think it'll be like one of the best things for you, because you'll have to face maybe like yourself. And granted, you're gonna have to be like committed to, because there's a lot of people alone who aren't facing themselves either. But I strongly recommend you drop that guy.
Oh my God.
Does it make sense?
It does. I don't know if it does or not, but
does it make sense to have a boyfriend when you have 3 kids by 3 other men?
If we both okay with it, I mean.
What about the kids?
Now. My oldest daughter, she's kind of like, but my youngest,
what does that mean?
They don't care.
So your oldest daughter, is that the 14-year-old?
Yeah. She thinks it's weird.
Oh, of course it's weird. It is weird, in all honesty. It is, Ebony. I'm serious. Yeah. I would not.
Could I say something?
Yeah.
What I will say, last thing, what I will say is that when my mom brought a guy into the house who wasn't my father, for me, it's not that I was angry about it, but I felt like he was taking my parent away, type thing. I wasn't angry about it, or I didn't resent my mom or anything for it. Or maybe deep down I did, I don't know. But in that moment, I was more jealous that he had my mom's attention, and my mom's attention wasn't on me as a kid. So I think that kids do feel that, especially if it's not their natural dad. It's like, who's this person in my house or around me that I don't know? And it's kind of tough for kids to have to get to know somebody who they have no attachment to.
And that's worse than any liberal education. I got a liberal education, and I came out not thinking liberal because my parents basically did right in terms of that. If they did other things wrong, yes, but they did that right. And like my dad was always somebody that I could respect. My mother I respected, and so they were basically like sound people. So that's more damaging to your daughter, your 14-year-old daughter, who you're worried about the liberal education, when you should be worried about your own example. And she doesn't, that she doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So selfish.
I don't know. Y'all right, because I know it's right, and I've been hearing it for a long time. But I've been with this man for like almost 5 years, and I don't know.
That doesn't matter.
It's like I know, because
that just means that like that just reflects poorly on him.
Oh.
I mean, maybe he doesn't know better. Most people don't, right? But it still reflects poorly on him and you. Imagine a little girl growing up and her mother, from the age of like 8 or 7 until 13 or 14, her mother is with some other man, not her own dad, and that's a mess, Ebony. Come on, you know that.
But what if we out here just trying to survive and live, and instead of being on the street homeless?
Basically, this is what. No, come on, don't fall for that stuff. There's lots of ways not to be homeless, and then
to stay with my brother.
Jesse
even I don't.
You watch church, right?
Yeah.
Jesse's been talking about this type of stuff. Like, don't do this, because I mean, this is exactly what the liberals kind of rightly accuse conservatives or other Christians of doing wrong, of like shaming homosexuality, but meanwhile like doing wrong with other marriage stuff, you know, and
Yeah.
sex stuff.
Mhm.
So we have to become like, you're not going to wake up until you like start to take steps, I think. Anyways.
Yeah, but
You got nothing
but
else
what
to
I'm
say.
saying, what I'm saying is, it's like it's like a survival mode out here in this world that is very, very hard. And
You're
if
talking
I
about, what
get
are you
up and
talking
just
about,
leave my-
survival? Financially?
It's like, yeah, financially. And if I get up and just leave my man because my kids won't like it, I would be like on the street somewhere or staying with my
It's not
brother.
just,
and them, and-
it's
and
not
that's-
just, that's fine too. I mean, this is just like what I was talking about with welfare stuff. Like, the best thing for you is it's basically just like living with your parents as a grown man, you know? It's the same thing. There are places cheaper than wherever you are. I think there are places cheaper to live. There's all kinds of things that you can do, and you'll be so free, you'll be happy, actually, I think. If you're anything like those people that move out, and even though it's tough, it's like an adventure. And the nice thing is, do you have any kids living with you?
No, I
See,
don't.
you're free. You have it totally set where you can just be totally free.
I know, but I don't feel like I'm free because I did have kids and
Yeah, but they don't live with you, so you can quit this man and just like be on your own and become independent, a strong, independent woman.
but what if I'm not that strong?
You are. It'll come out of you because it's not you. It's like doing what's right makes you strong. You know?
I know, y'all. I know, I know the truth, but I'm not living as truth, like Jesse says. And I don't know. Y'all right.
All right. Appreciate it, Ebony. Anything else?
No.
You want to complain about the liberals?
Yes, that's why I like y'all. Because I like complaining about the liberals. I like talking about all the evil, corrupt stuff that goes on in the world because I just know how that feels.
Yeah.
But, okay.
All right. Well, nice talking with you, Ebony. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. But when y'all, like, make me think and examining myself, it makes it hard, you know?
Yeah.
Because people don't want to hear the truth. It makes it so freaking hard to sit there and look at yourself and then have to tell it to other people. And then when they give you advice because they do care and, you know, it just makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
Because you already know the truth about it. And then when you want to change or do something about it, it's just, I don't know. But what I think, like I know I'm talking with my boyfriend again, but I have a good man that's here that's willing to, like, you know how they say, like, two heads are better than one. And because I'm a little slow, so I do need somebody there with me, making me. I don't know. Never mind. That sounds weak as hell.
These
I'm sorry.
are excuses.
That sounds weak.
Yeah. Shameful. Think about how slow, like, so many of these. Jesse's black and slow, and he's moving out was the best thing for him. He loved it. Even though he did get into, like, he did fall in with, like, the pro-black crowd, but it was still good for him to move out. Anyways, I gotta go, Ebony. Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Bye. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, nice talking with you too.
Bye, Ebony.
Bye.
All right, so I wanted to make a quick comment. Oh man, we're running out of time. Real quick, these so-called slurs like monkey. Jesse had a funny couple of videos about this monkey thing. This politician out of, what was it, Georgia? I forget. No, Florida. This politician out of Florida, white Trump supporter, Republican, Ron DeSantis, he said we can't monkey this up by voting in socialism. And his opponent is a black socialist. And it's commonly thought of that monkey is a slur for black people. And so just him mentioning the word monkey, they thought that he was using it as a slur, a dog whistle or a bullhorn slur. And so this stupid guy, Andrew Gillum, and all of his supporters are thinking it's racist. It's so ridiculous. And then the so-called N-word too, it just basically shows how sensitive the liberals and the evil people and the blacks are to stupid stuff, to judging other people for using a word when it wasn't even meant that way, and sometimes it is meant that way, and they're still sensitive about it. We got to get past this. And that's that thing about racism. It's just an excuse to judge the so-called racist when really the root problem is judgment. So you're feeding the root problem by judging the racist. Maze, you got 10 seconds, and we got to end. You like... Hey, out of Dayton, Ohio.
Yes, I can do it in 10.
Nice.
Now, you discuss who's at the man's funeral. Didn't that man have the choice to have who he wanted to have at his funeral? And who he didn't want there?
Oh, yeah, McCain, yes. Yeah, he had the right.
Why was Trump's children there?
I don't know. They were just nice.
You said evil people were there. Trump was the father to them.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that. You said
well, I mean, maybe his kids are kind of evil. Trump was not the best person when he was young, and then he became a good person.
But if you busy,
so maybe his kids are kind of evil.
What I'm saying is, you're busy talking to somebody else evil when you don't know you're evil.
But you look at the people on the stage; those are the evil people.
Really?
I was mainly talking about the people that.
What's good.
I was talking about the people on stage. Anyway, finish up the rest of your 10 seconds.
The people on stage and the people off the stage, he had the funeral that he wanted, and that's the way he planned it. If he didn't want Trump there, he didn't have to have him there.
And where is he now?
Where's who?
John McCain.
A whole lot of them going to die just like McCain, because a whole lot of them already dead.
Yeah.
Instead of that looking at him, they need to be sitting at home. So what are you talking about? A whole lot of them that make laws are already dead.
You wanted to make a point about Aretha. Make your point about Aretha real fast.
Well, she had the kind of funeral that she wanted to. And she planned it that way. So if they planned it that way, they can have who they want to have there.
Shameful.
They don't know nothing about it, but that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
So those that's not satisfied with it,
she planned it like that?
Stop groaning and complaining.
I heard that she didn't even come up with a will, which is cool.
Well, that's what you heard. You don't know what she came up with. That's what maybe the family want people to think. So when people start trying to steal the money.
All right.
I'm quite sure she had what she needed.
Yeah.
So here we go again, gossiping. So we call that Christianity.
Whatever, man.
Because a lot of people going to close their eyes and not wake up one day, just like McCain did. And so you should wake up from what you heard and seen. And then Bob Dole, he's sitting there suffering. Look at him.
Oh, Bob Dole is still alive. All right, Maze,
yes,
gotta
he
go.
Is still alive. Yeah, you're learning a lot of stuff.
You have a good day. Watch church.
Do
you watch church, Maze?
Sometimes. I watch whatever that's
You should watch it all the time.
I don't know about no church, but whatever. All right. Have a good one.
Bye. So church in 1 hour, go to Bond, Rebuilding the Man. It's on the thing like I show you every week. It's right here. Bond, Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel. Go to rebuildingtheman.com/church. Bye.